So Sue, go and if you need us to kind of provide you an example, Sue, we can do that. But go ahead and like when you use this concept, oh, here comes someone else. We've got Brandy joining us too. I'll have her hop on and give her a little update of what we're talking about. Hey, Brandy, we're gonna dive into the tool we were just talking about. The guide is more for our clients where we kind of lead more the just right learning, and then this one is the tool that we would use with the appropriate client that kind of has the language to walk through. So Sue's going to kind of give us a walkthrough of how she uses the concept or use the concept with her clients. So go ahead, Sue.
All right, thanks, Stacy. I think it's really important that autistics are not afraid to fail, because the current approach is always you get a reward or you get it as what you want if you do what I ask you to do. Whether you understand it or not, if you perform it successfully, according to my criteria, then you get what I'm either withholding from you or offering you.
Mhm.
That's the current approach being used to teach autistics. um, I have found all this does is reinforce a fear of failure, um, or prompt dependency, in that they're just kind of hanging in there waiting for you to give them that extra prompt so they get it right, because they don't want to have to fail, i.e., not get the reward. Um, and also, realistically, in life, if you don't make mistakes, you're not learning from those mistakes. So it's an inevitable thing that you're going to make mistakes. So to take out that fear of making mistakes, I've created what I call the just right zone for learning, which means if you're doing it correct every single time, what are you learning? If um, you can't get it correct at least 50% of the time, that's chance. You're not learning either. It's too hard. You're just guessing. So I created the 3 out of 5 rule, i.e., if you can get it correct 3 out of 5 tries, that's more than 50%. That says you're in the just right zone for learning. You've almost got it. You're not quite there yet. You're not 100% sure. Maybe the first few tries weren't successful, but then you figured it out. So you always want to try to be in that just right zone. Um, but it also helps autistics to know that, you know what? So if you don't get it right, all it means is it's probably too hard. So that means we have to problem solve and figure out how to make it easier. But if you get to the right answer every single time, well, then it's too easy. And that's great, but now you're not learning either. So let's make it a little bit harder so that you stay in that just right zone. So you are making mistakes, but most of the time you're getting it right. Um, and the reward part comes from, hey, if I'm successful 5 out of 5 times, I already know it. I don't need to be practicing or learning it. And I should be congratulating myself. Hey, I'm pretty good at this. I shouldn't need a reward from you. I should be encouraged to reward myself. Darn, you're good. Um, so the reward should be linked to trying, not succeeding, but trying. And this is why on the form, um, I always start with what are you learning and how is it going to help you? Always start with that so that they have some idea why they're learning what they're learning. Otherwise, it's purely rote and they're never going to use it because they don't know why they've learned it or what to do with it. Um, but then under it, you look at, okay, what's my reward? If I can get into that just right zone for learning, and I know it's going to be hard work, and I'm probably not going to totally succeed, but if I get into that at least 3 out of 5 times, I got it right. I should get a reward for trying. And that's why you're going to put at the top, have them decide what is it you want. I want an extra 5 minutes of computer time. I want an M&M. I don't care what it is they say they want, but they can pick their own reward. But all to earn it, they don't have to be successful 5 out of 5 tries. Um, and then, so at the end, if they are in the just right zone, they get their reward. So let's go through the steps. On this particular date, they've agreed we're going to try this particular task 5 times. And they get credit. And you put a little mark under trying. If they try it and no, that didn't work at all, sorry, not close to it, but they get credit for trying. Almost means it's almost just exactly what we want, but it didn't quite. I was supposed to stack 6 blocks, and man, I got to 5, but it didn't quite get that last one, or I didn't write my letter just exactly right. The 9 kind of looks like it's sideways, or and you can help them judge. Does it look like this? This is what we're looking for, and if it doesn't, but it's almost, you get credit for that. Got it means, yep, what you did looks exactly like what I'm asking you to learn how to do. Now, when you, after those 5 tries, you may get 1 in trying, 1 in almost, and you may get 3 of them in got it. Well, that's 3 out of 5. That means it's not too hard, it's not too easy, it's just right. And they get their reward because they're in the just right zone for learning. But what if they try 2 times and they maybe almost got it on the 3rd time? That's still not in the just right zone. It just means 3 out of 5 times they didn't get it. So that means it's too hard. So you're going to check that little box that says, oops, it's too hard. What could we do to make it just right? And over the further, it says what I need to do to make it just right learning. And they're going to write in there what they should, maybe suggestions you can make and that they might try. And if it helps and they do it again, maybe on the same date, they try it again 5 times. And this time they do, they got it to the got it stage at least 3 out of 5, maybe even 4 out of 5 times. Yay. Okay, then they're in the just right thing and they get the reward. Is this making any sense?
Yeah, I'm glad
Yeah.
you I'm glad you walked us through it because my brain totally went to a different totally different. So this makes complete sense with the tallies and then what I'm envisioning. So, we're all SLPs, but this totally applies. Like I'm thinking about, even I was just working with a student on writing a paragraph, and it's really hard because we're kind of talking about where in the process is it hard? Is it hard to think of the topic? Is it hard to brainstorm what? So so I could see even kind of talking about that, and um because we talk about what supports did he need, whether it's a word bank or Googling more information about it, looking at pictures, like what support did he need in order to make it easier to think of more language for that paragraph. Um, and so I could definitely see how using this tool makes it very concrete, because I think this is good for some of our students too that are like, oh yeah, that's easy. Oh, I can do it. But then they like literally cannot answer any question. So very limited self-awareness.
Yeah.
So I feel like this tool really is going to help, not to like break their spirits, but to show them, break their spirits in terms of like telling them, no, you're not good at this, because there's nothing worse than like telling someone that. But this almost like puts the blame on, we like shows the tool like,
Mhm.
oh man, you got 0 out of 5. So what do you think? Because I have students who get 0 out of 5, but they don't visually see it. And so
Mhm.
they're like, oh yeah, that was easy. So this is really going to help on
Yeah.
so many
Right.
levels.
So for each attempt that they make, they have to score it. They have to agree on the score. Well, that was a good try. What do you think? Did you come close to? And you always want a visual image of what the final product's going to look like, i.e., a paragraph. So you're going to write a paragraph and show them, oh, my paragraph has at least 1, 2, 3 sentences. I mean, one sentence is not a paragraph. That's just a sentence. You really have to have at least two to make a paragraph. Um, Ideal would be three because you've got the introductory sentence, the middle sentence, and the end, whatever you're explaining to them. So you're going to compare it to a model as far as how close it came
Yeah.
to matching that model. And yes, if all 5 times they tried, well, obviously it's too hard. What can we do to make it easier? And maybe even breaking it down to, okay, they understand what the sentence is. They can write a sentence that has an appropriate sentence. Okay, how could we, and you might do a visual chart of, okay, here's the topic. Now, what are some things you could say about that topic? And that's a visual organizer way of organizing your thoughts. So, and that may be, they can think of 2 or 3 things that they could say about that topic. Well, that's 2 or 3 sentences. That's a paragraph. So those visual supports
Yeah.
um, can help them then to visualize what the final product is. I had this happen when I was trying to pass my sensory processing or sensory integration course. The first time I tried to write the report, I failed miserably. So I asked her, "Can you give me a visual example of a report that?" The next time I gave it, she says, "Oh my God, I've never seen such progress so fast. This is absolutely perfect." But I couldn't visualize what she was wanting from me by her words. I needed that visual example. And then it was, oh yeah, okay, now I can see what it is she wants or needs in the way of a report. And that's what you're going to need to do is always make sure they have a comparison to look at to say, how close did you come?
Perfect. Laura, do you have a thought for your client?
No, I think I think that will be good. So I was working on, he just answers, yes, no, yes, yes, everything's yes. So I'm so excited for this because I slowed him down and I said, okay, well, first of all, because he was just like, yes, yes, yes. I'm like, okay, well, let's talk about, why we have to answer yes and no correctly. Like, why do we even practice this? So we kind of started a little bit with that, but it'd be really good for him to see, like, oh, if he doesn't slow down, oh, he might be trying, but he's not really listening. And then once we talked about listening to the question and like taking a minute and then answering, then he did better. But it would be this will be so great, the visual, so he can actually see that, oh, I did try, oh, but I went too fast, oh, I'm trying, oh, okay, let's see if I get it, so I think that will be really good for him in all his goals. I think he needs that visual for sure. And I tried to write it on a whiteboard. I tried to do different things. So I think this is going to be much, much better, much better. I thank you for walking through that because I was a little confused. Like, okay, if I try and almost that's still just, can you just say that one more time? So if it's trying and almost, then let's say a trying and 2 almost, that's still 3 out of 5.
No, they have to have 3 got it's
Oh,
out
okay.
of 5.
Okay.
tries.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Um,
3 got it. Okay.
yeah, and see, it
Mm,
says count the number of got it's up at the
okay.
top. If there's only 1 or 2 out of 5, you're
That they don't got
trying,
it.
but it's too hard.
It's still
They
too
get
hard.
3 out of
Okay.
4 out of 5. They're trying in the just right zone, but if they get five
Okay.
out of five, got it.
It's too easy. Yeah, it's too easy.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Okay.
they can use that to compare, but basically they're just counting the got it's. But they are
Yeah.
giving themselves credit
Yeah.
for
Yes.
trying and almost, because then you can start to analyze. You have to remember autistics process things on a thinking level, not an intuitive level. They don't pick up
Yeah.
things that everyone else just, I can see it. I just pick it up. I just know it.
Yeah.
They have to be told concretely. They have to see it concretely. And that's
Yeah.
what this is all about, is helping it to be very concrete so that when they say, and you can help point out why they always get credit for trying. As long as they do
Okay.
anything, they get credit for trying.
Even when they say I don't know, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know. Okay.
Because see, what he's doing is saying, well, I don't know how to answer that. But he tried.
Yeah.
He gave a response.
Yeah.
Now,
Okay.
it wasn't close to what it is you wanted, but he
Right.
did at least initiate something. So they
Okay.
always
That's
get
a trying. I
right.
think that's really good too, because I'm thinking of another client that always tells me, I don't know. I don't know. But at least, he can visually see,
Mhm.
okay, well, that's a trying. Okay, you tried. So
Right.
I think
So
that's good
now
for
we have
him.
to problem solve. What?
Yeah.
Why didn't that work?
Yeah.
By saying I don't know. Well, that didn't help you know it, and it didn't help me figure out why you don't know it.
Yeah.
I mean, it was you tried to give an answer, but it really wasn't helpful. So
Yeah.
obviously, it was too hard. So
Okay.
let's figure out what can help. What can I do that would give you a clue that would get you a lot closer to the kind of response I'm looking for? And
Okay.
again, you're giving them an example of what you're looking for.
Yes.
If you don't
Yes.
give them that
That's,
example, he may be saying,
yeah.
I
Then
don't
they
know,
don't,
because he doesn't have a clue what
yeah,
you're even asking of him.
that makes so much sense. Yes.
So, because
Yes.
words don't mean to an autistic what a visual image
Yeah.
does. We have to see it and it has to be concrete.
Yeah.
So, yeah, if you're just talking to us, I'm sorry, but your words, if we can't process that, we can, if I can't visualize what you're talking about, I have no clue, no
Yeah.
clue, the slightest clue.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to say the same thing. I don't know. I don't know because I don't know what you're
Yeah.
talking about, lady.
Yeah. That makes sense.
So this is why you really have to understand the neurology of autism and how we process things, and if you keep doing it your way, which is how you would teach any non-autistic, and that
Yeah.
might be fine, but for an autistic, that's the answer you're going to get. So you have to analyze. When he says, I don't know, well, he tried to give you an answer, but you have to figure out why
Yeah.
he didn't know what answer to give you.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you. That's very helpful.
Uh,
This format
question, like,
encourages them to simply uh, realize that learning never ends. Once you succeed at something, you, you need to get better. If you and then encourage them to not be afraid of learning and making mistakes. Um, and every time you keep trying, you're going to get better and better.
Yeah.
did you have a thought, Brandy? Or did you have a question totally not on
No, I
this?
did have a question about
Oh,
this.
Yeah, go
mhm.
ahead.
So the student I'm thinking about, he's he knows it's hard. So he'll say, it's too hard, I'm never gonna get it.
Yeah.
Um, it's articulation sounds. So we kind of have been talking about showing him. So when I'm using this, can we go back and like watch a video and tally it then versus stopping every word? Does does that question make sense?
Um, when you're saying stopping every word, i.e., if he doesn't articulate each word correctly, you're going to stop after each word that he
He'll
does?
reflect after each word as he produces it, or can we go back and watch a video of, say, 5 words?
Um, what I would do is, again, you want a visual of what the target is, i.e., a properly articulated string of words. Okay, so you're going to model and do a videotape. Then you're going to have him do it. Now, yes, I wouldn't stop after every word. That's very disruptive. For
Yeah.
him, he's going to be afraid because every word he tries, he's thinking and trying to put the words out there. Let him do the whole thing and then let him compare. Okay, does what you produced look like the goal we're striving for? How close do you think you got? And let him be the judge, not you. You can point out, oh, listen to this. Now listen to this. And you can compare one word at a time because videos can be stopped and help him point out, are you seeing where you're struggling? Where it's too hard for you. So let's figure out another way. And again, you have to remember articulation has to do with an awareness of where the tongues, the lips, it has to be a sensory thing. So I would always have a mirror. So he can compare watching you articulate and watch him to see if his mouth, lips, tongue are actually doing the same thing to produce it. Real heavy on the visual supports because he can't see what his mouth, tongues, and teeth are doing when he's trying to articulate unless he's got a mirror in front of him so he can watch himself. This is how, I mean, I practiced for hours in front of a mirror. Mostly it was facial expressions versus articulation, but I can't see myself smile unless I'm looking in a mirror. So I don't know if I'm producing a smile like Shirley Temple does or a frown like I've seen her do. The only way I can tell, because I don't get the sensory feedback from my muscles and joints to tell me what my face is doing. So anytime you're working on anything to do with articulation, apraxia is a very big problem for a lot of autistics. Interoception, the ability to be aware of their body and what it's doing at any given time, is a huge problem. So you're going to need to give those visual supports. But I would invite them to compare what they produce to what the ideal goal that they're striving to learn to do. And then help them understand, well, what could we do that would help you feel where the tongue should be when you say this sound?
Yeah.
That's good.